Hey guys, it's Rush. Today we're going to be doing a replay review of the T26E5 Patriot. This is a brand new Tier 8 premium tank that just got released in the game. And this is my first battle in the thing. So to start off, you're going to notice we're in a very Tier 10 game. I'll just speed it up here so we don't have to watch the whatever it's called. But we're in a very Tier 10 game. We're on the map Serene Coast. I'm going to be talking a lot about how Tier 8 tanks can affect the results of Tier 10 games, because this is a big trouble a lot of people have. And if you're thinking of getting the E5, you're going to have, it's going to be something you face. Tier 10 games, this doesn't get preferential matchmaking. So you're going to notice, when I started this replay, I actually thought this was a medium tank. I took this to the medium tank flank. You should do this in Tier 8 heavies in a Tier 10 game anyways, because Tier 8 heavies are going to have to rely on shooting people while they're looking away, and shooting people while they're reloaded. The 1-2 line is going to be the best for that. So, it's a mistake. It was my mistake. Like, I didn't do it. I didn't realize this was a heavy. I thought it was a medium, but it doesn't really matter because it all worked out. All right, so when you're starting a game, what you're going to want to do is look at your team lineup and look at their lineup. I notice immediately that we have a lot of big heavies. We've got an E100, Mouse, 57, 50B, and all those tanks are very likely to go to the 9-0. You're going to notice the 50B and the 57 haven't done that, but the reality is our big German heavy tanks have gone to the 9-0. They don't have very much heavy power on their team, and this is sort of where the strategy of Tier 8 tanks come into the game, because they aren't going to win the 9-0 unless our team are total idiots and all decide to drown or something. Our team should very reliably win the 9-0 just based on tank composition. If they're all average players, which, it's odds are they are all average players, we will very easily win the 9-0. So that's what I'm expecting. You can see the 57 heavy pokes up, he loses all his hit points, and now is sort of when I started the strategy comes in. So we're going to win the 9-0. I'm very certain of that. If it doesn't, we'll lose the game. But the thing is, we're at a disadvantage. If you look at the teammates around me, I've got 3 tanks, effectively. We do have the 4202 and the Scorpion behind me. Right now, there's now 4 tanks fighting on this ridgeline, and one of them is a Tier 10 heavy who's a one-shot. So the goal is to prolong the survival of this flank until we can win the 9-0. You're going to see that... how do I explain this? Basically, the longer we live, the more time the middle of the map, because that's where our Mouse and ST1 go, the middle of the map and the 9-0 are going to be able to flank around. So I want to prevent their tanks from doing anything, and effectively that's what I'm doing. One thing you're going to notice is I'm leading sort of the engagement here. We've got a one-shot 57 heavy. Just keeping him alive is extremely important. They aren't going to push onto us with that 57 heavy alive. No one wants to push into a 57 heavy who's fully loaded. So my goal, you can see I'm sort of dealing with him. I need to keep him behind us just so he lives, so they don't push into us. You can see we've got an ST1 on the cap circle. That was a bit awkward. And the 57 heavy at F2 gets lit. So at the time I hadn't noticed this, but it's relatively important because as the game progresses, I'm going to assume he's going back to base to reset. That being said, you can see I am conserving my hit points. I'm not being too aggressive. I understand the game is going to last, a good 5-10 minutes. And my goal, again, is just to prolong the living of this flank, because we've managed to push through the middle. We're going to win the 9-0, and then my team is going to be able to either get on cap and force them to split up, or they're just going to run over and help me. So that's the strategy, and that's how you should always play Tier 8 tanks, is just to try to live and stall the enemy, and hope that your teammates are good enough to flank around. This is what causes Raffle Stomp, sweep games where it's 15-0, is when their portion of the team with the majority of strength does nothing. And you can see, you've got a 57, an M46, a T54, an IS-3, and a T44 who haven't really done anything. I mean, they've been in C1 all game, and 4 tanks have prevented them from pushing through. So you can see the T44 is there. I've noticed that the T57 heavy is back there, and I'm worried about pushing this T44. I don't want to get clipped out. That being said, I need to keep my 4202 alive, so I sort of YOLO the T44 in a sense, and now I need to help him because the 54 is going to try to put side shots into him. So you can see I poke up, there's the 54, I'm able to put a hull down shot into him, and I mean, he doesn't even have a chance. He was a one shot for me. So there's the M46 Pat, and I'm just going to try putting shots into him. He's alone. I would have expected the 57 heavy to, you know, go back and try to defend the base. I mean, that's what I would have done. But you see there's the 57. He's pushing into us. The reality is, in this situation, tier 8 heavy tank is never going to win. I mean, unless the guy, like, you know, is a complete idiot. But most of the time, you're not going to win that fight. So, you can see I'm getting mad at him in chat there. I would say I played a very significant role in this gameplay, in this game, and hopefully this is going to be able to help you in the inevitability that you're going to face tier 10 matches. In any tank, your goal should be to survive and stall the enemy for as long as possible, especially if you're at a disadvantage. We had less firepower than them, less hit points, you know, worse positions, and we were able to stall them long enough that our team doesn't have to worry about, you know, them getting on cap, because the reality is if they kill us, they just drive through, kill already, and cap out, and we lose. So this is how I would suggest approaching a tier 10 game. Obviously, it wasn't extremely tier 10, but you know, the concept still applies. I would say that my role, along as the Carnivarn, the 57, the 4202, and the Scorpion, were a pivotal, you know, very important part for us winning this game. So hopefully this can be helpful to you. Alrighty, so for this replay, we are on the map Airfield. It's a standard game. I still think this is a medium tank. You know, this is my first 1 to 4 games playing this vehicle. And this, spoiler alert, this turned out to be 100,000 credit loss. So what I'm doing, typically what I'll do in medium tanks is I'll pop up to the E5 location. Now I think this is a medium tank. And it sort of is, like, it has a pretty decent speed. It's not terribly mobile. It's not immobile either, so I'm able to get away with this playing it like a medium tank, which is sort of cool. That's my element, so it works out. Basically, I'm just going to pop up to E5 and then focus on controlling the middle area of the map, and then poking on the meat grinder, I guess, so to speak, which is right over here, and just putting shots into these kind of areas. You can see they're sending a Cromwell B and a WZ-131 to aggressive light tank positions, I guess. I'm putting shots into them. They're giving me free shots, and the reality is if we don't kill them late in the game, they're going to be putting shots into our ass. So they're not a huge priority, but if they're giving me free shots, of course I'm going to take them. You can see I'm not going to camp the WZ. I have shots on the 1375, so of course I'm going to shoot him. And I do that. There's an E25 right there, and you can see this amazing DPM just coming to work right here. I'm able to put shots into this E25, you know, every 6 seconds, which is pretty outstanding. There's an M4 to my side. I get hit by a 50T, so I'm pulling back. I'm sort of worried about that M4 pushing up. You can see our Tiger and IS-3 are being a bit more passive than I'm used to. Normally heavy tanks will already be up here, but they're not doing that. So that's sort of like signs. Maybe I shouldn't rely on them as players. And, you know, typically you don't need XVM to tell if someone's a strong player or not. You can just look at their position. Because the position is what makes the player. Everyone can aim and click the same, so their position is sort of weaker, so I'd expect they're not going to be as reliable as teammates. It's just something that goes on in the back of your mind, because if you have to carry a game with them, you want to be able to know if you can trust them or not, and so, you know, it's just something to be aware of. Poking right here, you can see this position gives you great shots on their base. It also means their base can shoot at you, so people like that Scorpion will have shots on me. You can see the already shot at me. Right now we're sort of tied the game. The Scorpion did hit me for 400, so he's reloading. I'm able to take advantage of that and put shots into the Churchill. So right now I'm just focusing on pumping out shots. We've got an FE201 at base. He's sort of been there all game. We also have an M6 sort of guarding the base. He's a dedicated cap resetter, I guess. And you can see I'm just sort of abusing this position as much as I can. As you can see, it's very strong. Normally tanks or teams will go up to the meat grinder more than they did. That being said, when they don't, this position becomes even more powerful. So you can see that right here. Alright, so there's the 50T. I'm going to focus on putting shots into him. He bounces, and that's my first sort of like, wow, okay, this thing might have good armor. Maybe I just got lucky. You can see I do reload faster than him. He bounces again, and I'm sort of like incredulous right here. You can see I managed to track him. The T43 behind me is going to try to push into him. I just want to keep this guy tracked, and the T43 takes the hit. He didn't really need to, but, you know, it's his choice. It's his hit points. I'm going to push up onto this AMX M445 right here. I sort of forget that there's a 59 patent to my side. You can see he managed to put one shot into me. That's okay. I'm just going to sort of pressure him, and I do have to worry about their Scorpion in their base. So you can see I'm bouncing his shells. And again, like this thing... it's surprising for a medium. He probably should have penned that if this was in a medium tank. So right now is sort of when I'm learning, okay, this isn't actually a medium. It might, you know, it's a very well armored medium from my perspective. There's the Churchill. He's in the open. He's in a bad position. I want to kill him with this IS-3. The IS-3 doesn't aim his shot there, so it's sort of like, you know, why couldn't you have aimed against a Churchill? That's my perspective. He's pushing into the 59 patent, and I know for a fact that there's a Scorpion in their base. So it's not showing this. In game, I was telling him to halt and fall back because I didn't want him to get hit by the Scorpion, who was right up here. So that's my perspective. I don't want that guy to die. I know for a fact they've got an M4A1 on the J line, so I'm sort of flexing to that. Pushing onto the 59 patent would be suicide with my hit points. So, you know, I think this is the relatively right play. The M4A1 is what you would call isolated. He doesn't have any support. So my goal is to try to fight him and kill him before he can find his teammates. You can see he's on 868 hit points. I'm on 565. The IS-3, I don't want to insult him, but I feel like he's being a bit too passive. See, his position where he was going to prevent the 59 patent from flanking me. You can see the full HP IS-3 can very easily deal with the 408 hit points 59 patent. So I'm saying, okay, well, he's full HP. You know, hopefully the IS-3 is going to be able to deal with that 59 patent, because I'm going to have to be resetting the cap here soon. And that's just not what happens at all. What I expected to happen is I expected this guy to be getting up onto the cap circle. So I was like, okay, I'll go fight him. And the IS-3 should have been able to very easily take out the 59 patent. It turns out that the IS-3 wasn't able to do that, so the 59 patent got behind me, and the M4A1 did something I didn't expect it, so that was a loss. Let's go take a very quick look at the end plates, and then we'll go into how I think you should set this tank up. Alrighty, so as you can see, this was a Mastery Badge First Class. I really don't know what these medals are. 120,000 credits, nearly 2k XP with a premium account. That was a high caliber, so it's an okay result. 4,008 damage. The next best damage was the IS-3. In my opinion, this is a fairly significant amount of damage for how long the battle lasted, so I'm not too upset with that result. I think it was fairly good. 732 base XP, 1 kill. In the end, we ended up profiting 105,000 credits, and the total amount was, as you can see, 120,000. So overall, very good credit earner in my experience, especially, like, you know, if you like high DPN guns, this is very, very good for that. It can put out shots very quickly and very reliably. Alrighty, so this is how I would recommend setting up your, whatever this is called, T90, oh fuck, okay. Alrighty, so as far as setting this thing up and how it, you know, numbers, I'm not going to really care about the armor numbers because it changes throughout the tank, and the numbers Wargaming gives are just inaccurate. The gun is outstanding. You've got a 230 pen gun with 240 damage. The accuracy is trash, but who cares? The gun performs very, very well. It shoots very quickly. You know, you can see you don't even have to fire gold in tier 10 games very much. So I would say this is a very good gun. 230 pen, 259 gold pen. So you're going to be able to pen the weak spots of tier 9s with AP and pen the tier 10 weak spots with gold. So you know, in my opinion, that's a very good and balanced gold round. You should be able to pen the tier 10, you know, E100's lower plate with gold, in my opinion. As far as setting it up goes, just you want to get 6th sense and repairs on all your tanks pretty much. Safe stowage. This is going to be like an American heavy tank crew, so you're going to want safe stowage, especially if you're getting an E5 as your tier 10. And then repairs, 6th sense, gun handling skills after that, and brothers in arms. I mean, it should be fairly self-explanatory. As far as equipment goes, I would suggest vents, V-stab, rammer. You could get away with optics. I mean, this thing's practically as fast as most like it's very mobile for heavy tanks, so optics would work. If you have a good crew, I would suggest getting vents, because vents increases your view range, and so does brothers in arms. So you know, at a certain point, view range becomes redundant because it's just so high. So that's my opinion. If you have a lot of view range, don't use vents, get optics. No, don't use optics, get vents instead. Ammo loadout, use whatever you're comfortable with. Swarmed by Lights here has a lot of gold. If I was playing this to make credits, I mean, 30 APCR isn't going to hurt you. Like, what are the chances you're going to shoot 30 rounds in a game anyways? So, I mean, a reasonable amount would be like 15 or 20, in my opinion. And that's probably what I would go for. HE, the most you're going to want is 5. You know, you shouldn't be shooting HE at RD. You shouldn't be shooting HE at RHMs. It's just too inconsistent. That kind of inconsistency throws games, and you're not... Like, I really think HE's terrible unless you're trying to reset a cap desperately. So no more than 4, please. And that's pretty much it. Small first aid kit, small repair kit, and I would probably go with an auto fire extinguisher if it was me, but you know, if you're trying to make credits, small fire extinguisher works just fine. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's like every other tank in the game. The numbers don't matter. How those numbers perform matters. So I tried to cover those in this replay more, you know, than I can. You can see it's got a 15 specific power to weight ratio, which is very high. 10 degrees of gun depression. I feel like these two numbers are very important, but like how thick the hull armor is, it's going to change wherever. Like, this is going to be definitely not 152 millimeters thick, and you know, the second you angle it, you can start bouncing 50Ts and stuff. So yeah, hopefully this video was helpful. If you want to see more, be sure to hit the like and the subscribe button, and I hope to see you around. Later, guys. Bye bye.